What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Correlation Nation, where today we'll be going over UFC Fight Night. Dolidze going against Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. So originally this card was, I think I was 11 bouts. And then boom, out of nowhere, we get freaking Cody Brundage going against, Eric McConaughey. Yeah, I'm not really sure, but let's hop right into it. Let's see if we can figure out who's going to win these fights, how these fights are going to play out. So, Cody Brundage. Let's see, buddy. Cody. I should have had this up. But honestly, guys, I actually started recording this. I got about 20 minutes in. And I went to pause the video. And I stopped it. So here we are. We're doing it again. Let's do this. Cody Brundage. He is a light-footed pressure striker. He has loose, reckless boxing. He carries his hands low. He has good power. He's a plus athlete. His initial sprawls and scrambles are pretty good, but he gets lost quickly. And the other big downfall in this guy is he has a very questionable fight IQ. Now, when we look at Eric, let's pull this guy up. Eric is flat-footed pressure striker. He has decent footwork, but he doesn't maintain range well. Boxing is pretty solid. He has a clean 1-2. Power looks good. Guard, it's okay, but it's not that good. He puts combinations together well in the pocket. Has decent low kicks at range. He just kind of puts them out there. They're not great, but they are okay. But he has nice backside kicks. So his left leg's his backside leg. He has a nice high kick, front kick, and side kick. Takedown defense looks okay, but he can be held up against the cage. Yeah, I think McConaughey's a pretty good dog in this spot. You know, the line's not very wide. It's actually pretty close. Eric's probably, or not Eric, sorry. Cody's probably the more skilled fighter of the two, all in all. But, you know, his questionable IQ, along with his boxing not being that great, you know, I think in this case, you know, if he could get a takedown, you know, he could definitely win the fight. But, you know, this is a fight I don't really have a super strong lean in. I guess because it's close, there's you could find value on either side probably. But let's see, Cody, he's probably going to stand with this guy. Yeah, it's hard to feel calm. It's hard to trust that dude. That's the problem. It's just hard to trust his process. And I just do not love it. You know, I think you'd be wise just to kind of stay away from this. A lot of question marks on McConaughey. You know, he's only fought once in the UFC. Yeah, it's a real iffy fight. I'm trying to think. Yeah, the heck with it. I'm going to go with McConaughey. I do think that Brundage is the more skilled fighter. I just don't trust his process. And I think that if they're going to stand and bang, Eric McConaughey's got a pretty good shot at winning this fight. But we're just going to have to wait and see. I will go with Eric McConaughey. Really low confidence on it. And that's just kind of my take on the fight. Let's go ahead and move on. Let's not waste too much time on this one because it's just a short notice. You know, it was freaking glued together in no time. So, Gabriela Hernandez going against Julia Stoliarenko. Pardon me. This should be, you know, a reasonably exciting fight for as long as it lasts. I mean, Julia's stand-up game's it's not very good, but anyways, let's pull it up. Hernandez. All right, Gabriela Hernandez. She is a light-footed pressure striker. Has pretty nice footwork. She has solid range management. She uses lateral movement, cuts off the cage. Powerful left side and high kick at range. Boxing is okay, long straight punches, but she does have a lazy guard. Hand speed seems a bit slow, but her power looks good. The plus and minus on this is she's a willing grappler. Submission upside, not elite. And she has a fairly active guard. And that worries me just a bit because with Julia, she is more or less an armbar and bust. We're going to pull her up. She's a light-footed pressure striker. She's quite aggressive. Pumps a decent left jab from distance. Likes to throw a high kick. Guard is a bit lackadaisical. She's very hittable. Fights at a high pace. She fades. And then the plus and minus on her, so she'll pull guard. She's an armbar specialist. Yeah, she's, it's basically armbar or bust for this girl. And the fact that Hernandez is a willing grappler tells me that there's a chance that could happen in this fight. And so I'll definitely be looking at the Julia by armbar in this. And I think it's, a reasonably outcome, like it's a reasonable outcome, like that could happen. But, I think Hernandez is, she's the more skilled fighter. And I'm just going to hope that, she can either defend those arm bars or just preventing herself or like not putting herself in those positions to be arm barred. But time will tell. I will lean with Hernandez on this because I think she's the more skilled fighter, and I think that she can prevent the armbar. But there is a world definitely where Julia gets that armbar, especially because Hernandez has shown that she's willing to go to the ground at times. So we'll be looking at the Julia by armbar prop, but we'll be definitely siding with Hernandez in this. So. And I think the best way to look at it is just probably the under, or like fight doesn't go. That's probably the most likely outcome, is the fight just doesn't go to the cards. So, anyways, we're moving on. We got Uros Medic going against Gilbert Urbina. So Medic. Let's see, Medic. Let's see what we got here, buddy. See if I can put that where it's not in the way. Okie dokie. Yeah, Medic is a fairly light-footed pressure striker. He is aggressive. Solid footwork, pretty good range management. Nice technical kickboxing, heavy kicks to all levels. He has powerful straight punches. Plus and minus is that he puts a lot into his strikes, which leaves himself extended. Initial takedown defense looks solid, like it looks okay. But he can be taken down and he can be outclassed on the mat. And then when we look at the other side of it, Gilbert Urbina, as he is a fairly light-footed pressure striker, a bit plotty. He lacks technical footwork. He will close the gap with long, awkward lunging strikes. He does have good power with him. But he lacks fundamental striking, uneducated guard, enters pocket with hands out of position. He has some wrestling ability, nice standing back take, nice control, uses good ground and pound while hunting for submissions. So, his frame and athleticism and stuff had done him pretty well, like in the regional scene or whatever. And but the problem is as he's gone up in competition, these other guys that have a more refined striking skill set are able to catch this guy and put him to sleep. And Uros Medic is actually a really, really good striker. While he does have a bit of a hole in his grappling, he's a phenomenal striker. And this is not a good look for him. So, obviously I think that because he's aggressive, the most likely outcome of this fight is it just doesn't go as well. And there is a world where Urbina could, get his grappling going and submit Uros, but that's not the most likely outcome of this fight, the most likely outcome is like a round 1, round 2 KO, in my opinion. And I think that's what's going to happen. I think Uros Medic is going to knock this guy out. It's happened to Urbina twice at the UFC level, and I think it's going to happen again. So my pick would be, Uros Medic by KO, round 1, round 2. And we will move on. Next fight, we have Jocelyn Edwards going against Priscilla Cachoeira. Let's see. Edwards. Patient striker. She's flat-footed, has some lateral movement, but doesn't maintain range very well. Snappy low kicks, good offensive striking, but she's questionable defensively. She throws in flurries, and she has bad takedown defense. And then when we look at the other side of it, let's see, Priscilla is a fairly light-footed pressure striker. She's an aggressive brawler, doesn't use technical footwork. She wants to move forward, throwing punches and bunches. She fights with good pace, solid power. Takedown defense is pretty awful. Scrambles a bit, but isn't a very sound grappler. This is an interesting fight. You know, Jocelyn, I think, is pretty skilled, you know, for the division. Like, I think she's a pretty skilled fighter. She kind of lacks output here and there. A little bit questionable decision making at times. I think she's probably the more like well-rounded fighter here. But you know, Priscilla's a dog. She fights like a rabid dog. She just goes, and it wins her quite a few fights. She cheats here and there, especially when she's being grappled, because she's not very good on the ground. Now, this is a fight I just don't really want much to do with, just to be honest with you. Let's look and see right here what the line on this is. I mean, this isn't probably like a super accurate line, but you know, it was plus 205 on the Priscilla side. You know, I don't know that I like Jocelyn at minus 250. I don't really love that. I do think she's, like I said, the more well-rounded fighter. Probably pretty likely that she wins here. But, you know, there is a world definitely where Priscilla wins this fight, because she's just going to have way more output. And I think that if Jocelyn doesn't take this fight to the ground, she's probably going to get beat on the feet. In my opinion, I think she'll get beat on the feet, because I think that Priscilla will just force that brawl, and she will have more output, more damaging strikes. And it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. I definitely think the value's on the Priscilla side, but that doesn't mean that I think she's the most likely to win. It really depends on what Jocelyn's game plan is going into this fight. She has shown more willingness to grapple more recently, so it'll definitely be interesting. You know, this is a fight that, again, I don't really want a lot to do with it. And I'm not really sure what angle you take on this fight. Yeah. Jocelyn's never been knocked out, though. Let's see how many fights Priscilla has won by decision. She's won more than she's lost. Man, you know, there's not really a way you bet this and you feel good about it, outside of just hoping that Priscilla wins by decision, I guess. Let's see. Priscilla might not be a terrible. I would need to go back and watch some more of Jocelyn's more recent fights. Is she really just grappling people up? I mean, I've gotten that sentiment, but is she? I mean, who? Vidal? Yeah, I mean, she's trash. Respectfully. She wasn't very good. I never seen what, I mean, there was people that thought highly of her, I guess. I don't know. I watched her tape and I thought, man, I bet he gets her every time I could. I was like, this girl is not good. Oh, I don't know. I think Priscilla's, the value side for sure. For sure. Do you go split on it, maybe? It'll be interesting. I don't have a strong take on this fight. I don't think that either woman really has a... I think Priscilla... It depends. Like I said, this is really going to come down to Jocelyn's game plan. If she plans to take Priscilla down, she's got a good chance at winning this fight. If she wants to stand with her, she's probably going to lose this fight. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. And I'm just going to move on. If you got any opinions, thoughts on the fight, please drop them in the comment section. I'm really curious to see what other people think on this fight. And real quick, I guess we could look at, let's see. I mean, people are taking Edwards 91% on Tapology. I don't know how you feel that confident. No idea how you feel that confident. But anywho, let's move on. That fight will speak for itself when it happens. Next fight, we got Elijah Smith going against Toshiomi Kazama. And, yeah, I mean, let's just pull him up. It's pretty cut and dry, honestly, but... Elijah Smith, light-footed striker. He's patient. He uses footwork to maintain distance at range. He's more of a counter striker on the feet. He is a bit low volume. He has a pressure wrestling style that relies on athleticism, some ground and pound to submission. That's kind of what I have on him. Obviously, he's young. He's unrefined. He's new to the UFC. I think he's obviously a good athlete. And, he does have some, he's got fast hands, he's got good power, whatever. And then, his opponent, let's see. Light-footed pressure striker. He's aggressive and develops striking. Boxing is loose, crashes pocket with hands out of position. He has some wrestling ability, more of a transitional grappler with good BJJ. Doesn't react well to punches. Very questionable chin. Yeah, so, I mean, I just think that, you have to go with the big favorite and Elijah on this. I don't know. It'll be interesting. I don't know that Elijah warrants the line that he has as a minus 515. I think that really comes down to Kazama's chin. But, I remember watching Elijah, and he does a lot of wrestling, which is going to put him in a position to be grappled. And, but Vince Morales is a pretty good submission guy himself. He's fought some other decent competition. Reyes Cortez and Robert Trujillo was decent. Yeah, I don't know. Probably KO. Fight doesn't go. Probably the best way to look at it is the under. You got an aggressive fighter on one side that doesn't have a very good chin. but has submission upside as well. So, I think you could feel pretty confident that this fight doesn't go to the cards. That's the most likely scenario here, right? So we're going to go with Elijah by knockout. But, the under is probably the safest way to play this. Moving on, we got Julius Walker going against Rafael. Is it Rafael? I think that is right. I think the R and... Anyways. Quiquera. I don't know. Quiquera. I'm probably butchering the heck out of that. But nonetheless, let's see how these guys match up. We got Walker. Pull old boy up. Walker. Fairly light-footed pressure striker. He lacks technical footwork. He has poor distance management. He has undeveloped striking. Decent. He does have a decent right cross, but uneducated guard. So he doesn't really know what to do with his hands defensively. Solid offensive wrestling. Takedown defense looks pretty bad. He's more of a position over submission, ground and pound style. Will attack Kimura to use as a sweep. And that's kind of what he does. And then when we look at the other side, and I don't even know how to spell old boy's name. We're going to try. Was it RAFF? Here we are. Fairly light-footed striker. He lacks technical footwork and can be pressured into the cage. He has solid offensive striking, straight punches, nice left side kick, well-timed spinning attacks, but lacks defensively. He has poor head movement, doesn't take punches very well. He comes from a judo and Brazilian jiu-jitsu background. And I think he's got a pretty bad rap right now. He hasn't done very well in the UFC. But I think he's got, well, outside of you can't really teach somebody how to get punched. But he could definitely work on his footwork. And I think if he could work on his footwork and maintaining range and kind of staying out of position or in a better position to not be punched in the face, because he's one of those guys that kind of gets hit and he kind of freezes and he just getting stunned and he just doesn't react well to it. But ultimately I think his skill set's okay. It's more the footwork. And I think that people are looking at Julius. I mean, look at this line, -605. This guy's not that good either. And people are overlooking this. They really truly are. They're overlooking the fact that Julius, while he had a short notice fight against whatever the heck his name is, I can't think of it right now, but he came in short notice and performed reasonably well. I think took it to a split decision. But let's not fool ourselves. This guy's really not that good either. And I remember watching this. So I think this guy fights out of Springfield, Missouri. And ironically enough, when I'm filming this guy, no shit, I'm freaking in Springfield, Missouri, and I'm taping this, and I'm has nothing to do with him. It was ironic, and I noticed that, and I was like, oh, well, maybe that's a sign. No, it's not. I don't think it is. I mean, is there a chance this guy wins? Yeah, I mean, his opponent doesn't take punches well, so yeah, there's definitely a world where this guy just knocks him out, but at -605, with his skill set, I don't agree with that line. I don't think that line's right at all, and I actually am going to lean with a dog on this. I think that there's way more value in this dog than, there's no value in Walker. I don't even know how you play that. You probably couldn't even round 1, round 2 KO, whatever. It's not going to look good probably however you want to play it. And I think the best way is to look at the dog. And I'm just going to lean flat out. I think that he's going to win. But I'm not going to put a ton of faith in that just because I don't trust the guy's chin. But I do think that he probably has the better skill set all in all. I think he's got the better skill set. I think he's the better fighter. He just got a terrible chin. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens with this. But that's where I'm at. Moving on, we got Eric Anders going against Christian Leroy Duncan. Okay, CLD. And Eric Anders, let's pull this boy up. Your boy, we're going to pull up your boy. Eric Anders is a light-footed pressure striker. Does decent footwork. Range management's okay. Boxing is very basic. It's a bit loose. Doesn't have very good volume. Does have good power. Sound grappler. Can be outclassed. But he won't quit on himself. And so then we're going to go to Christian. Light-footed striker. He's a plus athlete. He's explosive. He has an in-and-out style. Solid range management. Long straight punches. He does carry his hands low. He has dynamic kicks. Initial takedown defense is solid. Can be taken down. But he will work to get up. So, yeah, I mean, I favor Christian Leroy Duncan in this fight. I think that he's more primed. He's younger. Eric Anders he's a real tough vet, you know, and I think that his skill set is, you know, kind of just, it is really kind of like just outlast. You know, he can kind of bully some guys, but I don't think this is a fight where he's going to be able to bully them, because I think Christian Leroy Duncan is going to be able to kind of tag him up pretty good from range and maybe force clinch, you know what I mean? But, you know, even in the clinch, Christian's got, you know, nice knees, stuff like that, so he can do damage in the clinch as well. And I think that Anders, you know, is going to have to work really, really hard to try to get this fight into a place where he can win it. And then as soon as he's going to burn a lot of energy doing that, and then he's not going to be able to maintain that position. And so I just think over a course of a fight, Christian Leroy Duncan is going to do more damage. And it's going to be very obvious that he's just the better fighter that's doing more. And I think he's going to win. So I think that you could look at this as like him by decision, because Anders, yeah, and like, he could knock Anders out for sure. But Anders has proven to be pretty durable. And I think this is his last fight on his contract. I don't think he's going to try to go out and get knocked out. He doesn't get knocked out often. So I think the over is a reasonable thought. And I just think Christian Leroy Duncan by decision. Moving on. We have Miles Johns going against John Matsumoto. And Miles Johns, light-footed striker. He's patient. He has nice footwork, maintains range pretty well, keeps a high guard and fights behind a nice left jab. Tends to follow with a left hook. He does have a powerful overhand right. And you'll see that he'll high guard and he'll pump the left jab, and then as soon as he throws the left jab, he'll bring a left hook behind it. He throws that quite a bit, at least he has in the past, but he also tends to use a powerful overhand right. Solid low kick he uses sparingly. He tends to dip his head quite a bit, and he has solid like offensive wrestling. He's a sound grappler, and he fades late. And then we'll go to John. He's a patient fighter. He's light-footed, technical Muay Thai striker. He has a high guard. Punches are a little wide, but very fast. Kicks to all levels. He has strong squeeze on chokes. I'll probably have to update his notes, but all in all, I think those are pretty accurate. I think the only way John, like in his last fight, he lost, I think, and that was a pretty close fight. I think that was just because old boy was like the more technical boxer. It was a close fight, but he was just able to kind of like put more out there, and that's not going to be the case in this fight whatsoever. I think that, Matsumoto is probably going to win this fight, probably by decision, but yeah, it'll be interesting. I favor him to win. Let's see what the line looks like. Oh, he's a minus 285. He's a big favorite. Almost 3-1, at least based on that. Yeah, that by decision, but he could really win this fight anyway. I could see Miles going for a submission, or not a submission, but like going for a takedown, and John getting the submission. I don't know. I think it'll probably just play out on the feet mostly, to be honest with you. And yeah, I think John's probably going to get the decision win. That's what I think. That's my lean. Moving on, we got Andre Fili going against Christian Rodriguez. Let's see. This is one I don't feel super confident in yet, so I'd like to just kind of go over it. Andre Fili is a fairly light-footed pressure striker. He has decent footwork. Range management could be better. Striking is solid. He has a nice left jab, solid right low kick. Doesn't move his head much, which is a problem. Can be lured into a brawl. And I say he doesn't have a great chin. It seems that it's deteriorating, I think, is why I have that. But really, all in all, dude's been clipped more and more lately, but he hasn't been knocked out necessarily a ton, so it could be harsh criticism, but, I would keep my eye on that, definitely, knowing that, like, there's a possibility his chin's, he's losing it. But he has decent counters, will return moving backwards. Solid wrestling and scrambling ability, sound grappler, can be outclassed, and he's susceptible to chokes. But all in all, he is a pretty good grappler. And then on the other side, we have Christian. He is a flat-footed pressure striker. Decent footwork. Fundamental striking. He has a high guard, decent left jab to right overhand at range. Solid right side kick, puts together nice combinations in the pocket. He will go to the body. Solid takedown ability, floats and scrambles well. He's an opportunistic grappler with submission upside and good cardio. And things like that, like say for him, the good cardio is one of those things that's noticeable because like over the course of a hard fight against some of these other guys, you see that a lot of times his ability to scramble and get in good positions, like he just kind of outlasts some of these guys. But here's the thing. He's gone up a weight class because he continuously failed to make weight before. And I think Andre's going to be like noticeably bigger than this guy because Fili's already a pretty long guy for the division. I think that I think he's a good dog. I really do. Let's see what the line on this one is. Yeah, 2-1 basically. Minus 215, plus 180. I think Fili's a good dog here. I really freaking do. I'm going with Feely. And it's not because I don't like Christian Rodriguez. I just think that I think he's too small for the division. I think that, he's going to beat certain guys in the division. And then there's certain guys like Feely. Christian Rodriguez has kind of made a name for himself by beating unbeaten prospects, right? But the thing that a lot of these unbeaten prospects have in common is that they're all undeveloped strikers and they're grapplers. That's not Feely. Feely is not that. And then you've seen it when Christian Rodriguez went against Costa or whatever, Milky. It was a good fight. It was a close fight, no doubt. It was a good fight. But I think that he's going to kind of have the same issue here. I think that's what he's going to run into, is that, like, this isn't a guy that is one-dimensional. So I'm going to go with Feely. I think the value's there, but, there's some red flags on the Feely side, you know what I mean? Definitely with, like, the chokes and the chin. So it's not like with the utmost fucking amount of confidence or whatever, but I think that Feely's definitely a good dog in this spot. So we're going to roll with that. We're going to go Andre Feely. And then we're going to move on to, I don't know if, Yasmin Lucindo, whatever her name is. Okie dokie. Light-footed striker, nice footwork, good movement. Boxing is loose, has a wide guard. She's solid low kicks at range. Nice counter right cross. Throws a lot of wide power. She's a willing grappler. Solid knees in the clinch. Nice body lock takedown. And I don't know what that punch is. I don't know why that's there. But nonetheless, it's probably something that shouldn't be there. All in all, Lucinda, she's a decent fighter. But she's going against Angela Hill, right? And I think Hill in this spot is also a pretty good dog. Let's pull her up. Alright, Angela Hill. Light-footed pressure striker, solid footwork, boxing is pretty clean. She has a nice left jab, right cross. Guard is lackadaisical, but has solid head body movement. Decent left side kick, nice right low kick. Fights with good pace and volume, good Muay Thai clinch, knees, elbows, takedown events is solid. Yeah, Hill's definitely like a super solid dog. I mean, the big thing with her is like just her age, but she's shown to have gotten a little bit better with age. But at some point, it's going to start, leaning back the other way. I just think that she's the better fighter. Lucindo has been pretty good. She's beat some pretty good competition, or like at least like reputable names or whatever. But I just think that Angela Hill is just too much too soon for her. I really, really do. With her footwork and her ability to kind of control range, she's going to have way more volume. She's going to have cleaner striking. And she's got good enough takedown defense, I think, at this point to just do more throughout the course of a fight. So I think that Angela Hill winning this fight, she's a dog, and you could probably get her Angela Hill by decision for bigger plus money. But I'm gonna lean with Angela Hill on this one, and that's just where my head's at. I don't know that anyone's gonna convince me otherwise. But if you think you can, drop it in the comments. And we're moving on to the next fight. We got the co-main event, Steve Erceg going against Ode Osborne. And I believe that Ode was kind of a short notice replacement, because Erceg was supposed to fight Park. Yeah, he was supposed to fight Park. And he got moved to last week's card. So let's pull up Erceg and see what he presents. Urseg is a light-footed pressure striker. Fundamental boxing, high guard, nice left jab, nice range management. He has good footwork, counters well off the back foot, and will string together combinations when doing it. He can get caught with hands out of place. He has well-timed knees and elbows. Initial takedown defense is good. Scrambles well to get up. And I believe this guy's like got pretty high level BJJ as well. So he's definitely got some. I'm just saying that. But I think, let's pull him up and see if he got submissions. I'm pretty sure that he is more of a grappler and he's just been more of a striker in the UFC. Yeah, he's got 6 submissions. But I don't know. I don't want to go too crazy on that because, you know, you listen too much. I mean, this is regional, you know, or. But he does have some submission upside, apparently. It'll be interesting, you know, if he tries to take this one to the ground or something like that. But anyways, let's pull up Ode. Ode Osborne. Ode is a light-footed pressure striker. Fights behind a nice front and side kick. He has a decent left low kick. Seems to be more of a counter striker at range. Outside of his kicks, obviously. But, you know, like with his hands, he seems to be more of a counter striker. He does have good speed and power. But the timing isn't great. That's one thing I noticed. So you'll hear people talk about his speed and power. Yeah, I mean, you can beat a lot of people with that. Right? That's how some of these guys get to the UFC. Is they're just bigger, faster, stronger than their opponents in the regional. But, you know, the technical and skill, technicality and the skill set of some of these fighters is what makes a difference at the UFC level. And his timing is one of the things that I've just felt like when watching him, it's just off. His timing's not great. Plus minus is he throws wild in the pocket, has decent offensive wrestling, but he doesn't deal with adversity well. Yeah, I mean, Urseg's probably a huge favorite, and I think it's pretty warranted, really. There's a world where Ode, you know, he has the speed and power or whatever to knock out Urseg. Sure, could happen. But I just don't think that's going to happen. It'll really be interesting to see how this plays out. I'm going to pick Urseg to win this fight. You know, and maybe you go Urseg by submission. He doesn't have any submissions in the UFC yet. And it's probably his easiest path to victory against Ode. It'll be interesting. We'll see how this one plays out. I'm going to go with Urseg. And then we got Dolidze going against Anthony Hernandez. This is our main event of the evening. And it should be a pretty good one. Let's pull these fellas up. Roman. Roman is a flat-footed striker. Pretty patient. Boxing is decent. He has a high guard. Nice. Right cross off a step stance switch. It's like kind of a mouthful, but what he does is he kind of like steps, like he like steps into like a switch stance, and then like he throws it's almost like a right jab, but it's a right cross. I don't know. I'm not a fighter, so I may be entirely wrong about this, but you'll see it and you go, yeah, it's interesting. It's a little unorthodox, but it's something that he does kind of frequently, you know, and it seems to kind of work for him. So, anywho. He's more of a counter striker. He has solid right kicks. You know, he has a front, low, and side kick. They're pretty solid. And then he has a decent left axe kick. He'll throw that. Mediocre takedowns, but he's dangerous on the ground. So, you know, he's not a guy that's got great takedowns himself per se, but he is a nasty defensive grappler. So he has some submission upside for sure. And then when we look at the other side of it, we're going Anthony Hernandez. Fairly light-footed striker, doesn't maintain range very well, and is susceptible to leg kicks. His striking is very basic. He is an aggressive grappling. He has a aggressive wrestling/grappling style. He has great cardio, nice ground and pound, nice front chokes, good scrambling ability. So this fight is very interesting to me, and I'll tell you why. Because I like Anthony Hernandez quite a bit. I think he's proven. I think that his fighting style is it's kind of like Merab a little bit. Different, but kind of like that. I think he's a little bit more violent than Merab. Merab's not a super violent guy. But the cardio aspect and just like the relentless wrestling, take you down, wear you out, rinse and repeat over and over again. But the difference with Anthony Hernandez is he does have pretty nice ground and pound. He's more willing to look for chokes. So he definitely has submission upside and all that. And I think it's real easy for me to lean with Anthony. But I do think that Roman has the advantage on the feet. I think that his striking's a lot cleaner. I would say neither fighter is like great strikers, but I would definitely give that nod to Roman. And then the other thing about it is Roman is a pretty big dude. And I wonder if Anthony Hernandez can regularly take this guy down. Because that's what he's doing. I mean, he's going to be, like I said, rinse and repeat. No doubt about it. That's what he's going to be doing. But if he can't, it's going to create some issues. So I don't want to overthink this too much. I really do think that Anthony Hernandez is going to be able to wear on this guy and eventually get him to the mat. And the longer the fight goes, the more, like, you know what I mean? And so I think they played this as like, you can bet this at minus or like under 3.5. I think it's pretty hard to see this fight going more than that. But I mean, it could. Pretty high level guys in the division. I'm going to stay with Anthony Hernandez. I do think that he's able to figure out a way to get this fight to the ground and just wear on him. And, you know, he's not like a total fish out of the water anywhere. You know, he's tough. He's got good cardio. I just think he's the more well-rounded fighter, and his fighting style is something that's going to beat a lot of people, because especially in a 5-round fight. But, you know, there's a world Roman can knock this guy out, certainly. Or, you know, just is able to keep the fight standing. And, yeah, it should be a good fight. I do like this one, but I'm going to go with Anthony Hernandez. I would really, really like to see what everyone else thinks about this. I'd like to see them at weigh-ins, see how they match up physically, you know, their stature and all that, you know what I mean? Because in my head, I'm thinking Rome's just got to be a way bigger guy, but who knows? Maybe when they stand next to each other, they're not, or he's not, and that could change. That could change a lot for me as well. So, anyways, these are my thoughts and predictions on the fight. And, you know, we'll just be looking to see weigh in and then go from there. All right, guys, good luck to everyone. Correlation Nation, we're out. Peace, guys.